Do you struggle with glitter pencil tumblers? A lot of hassle, a lot of work? Well, if you want to know an easier way to get these done, stay tuned to this week's episode of Make It Monday. Hi everyone, welcome back to the studio. If this is your first time here, I am Jessica with JC Creative and I am glad you're here joining us. If you're a fellow creative who loves DIY projects, anything from tumblers to teas, home decor, we have a little bit of everything for everyone. So be sure to ring the little bell below, subscribe to the channel so you get notified each and every Monday when we drop new tutorials. So in today's episode of Make It Monday, we are going to take on the infamous Pencil Tumbler. These are beautiful, they're great for teachers' gifts, and the typical way to do these are to tape off, do glitter stripes of pink and silver and yellow and gold and black at the bottom. I personally think that they are very time consuming and they're glittery and they're messy. They turn out beautiful. They're definitely beautiful. However, I'm in the camp that I love to work a little bit smarter, not harder, and I want to pump out a bunch of these for Christmas and the holidays. So I have a little bit of a workaround. I want to teach you guys, walk you through on an easy, simple way to create these tumblers. The first thing you are going to need to start the tutorial is a skinny white glittered tumbler that has been epoxied. So that's where we're going to start off when we jump in. I'm not going to go through the process of glittering a tumbler. If you never glittered a tumbler, if you've never glittered a tumbler before, I do have several other tutorials about how to glitter a tumbler. I've got doing a single color or an ombre. You can jump over there and check out those videos. So before you get started, hit pause, go get your tumbler, paint it white, glitter it white, and get a smooth epoxy coat on the top. And that is where we are going to start. So let's jump right in and get started. Okay, so let's jump right into this and let's go over what we're going to need to do this technique. So you're going to need a full water slide of the pencil, and this file is going to be available on the website. You'll see at the bottom it only shows a thin black at the bottom. That's how it's supposed to print because I only need to mark where the black is going to start, and then we're going to use black. I use black alcohol ink to finish off the bottom. So you need alcohol ink. I like to use these cosmetic sponge when I'm applying that. You need some scissors for trimming out your water slide, and you need a brand new sharp X-Acto blade for trimming your water slide once it's on to get rid of the overlap. And then you need a large container. So this is like a, I don't know, 10 by 15 or something cupcake carrier that I use. It's the perfect size and I love it. And then you need some kind of tepid your tepid water or whatever. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off all the white around the water slide. At the top, you honestly could leave a little bit if you wanted. If it's not exact, it's okay. You're using clear water slide for this. And my water slide is coated with 3 to 4 coats of clear coat. That's the trick in doing these water slides, is to make sure your clear coat is nice and thick, because if not, you'll run into the issue where you're getting tears and that kind of stuff. Some people use Plasti Dip. I've never tried that. I hear it works well too. But see how my water slide reflects light? You see that? That's how glossy you want your water slide to be before you put it on. That will give you a lot of play. You'll be able to, wiggle it around, move it around, or whatever. When I do these, I do them on a turner to help kind of guide the slide when I put it on. So I'm going to put my water slide. It's going to curl up automatically. That's just what it does. Oh, and you need a glittered white tumbler. So I skipped that step in the tutorial. If you don't know how to glitter a tumbler, if you haven't glittered one yet, you can go back to one of my earlier videos. I do have a single color glitter tumbler and a two-tone glitter tumbler tutorial. For this purpose, I use white, or frosty white glitter is what I use on a white cup. So I actually spray paint my cup white and then actually put the glitter in with the I use the spray paint as an adhesive sometimes to move things along quicker. I'm trying to make a bunch of these for a show this coming weekend. So, and by the time you guys see this, it'll be this past weekend. So I got a lot of them to do. So that's one step I found to speed up the process a little bit. So I have a white glitter base. All right. So you can see these edges are starting to peel up. What you want to make sure of is that it's peeled in the middle. It's loose in the middle. And all I'm doing is gently kind of moving my fingers along here to make sure that it's sliding on that paper. That's what I wanted to do, is slide. And the middle is the last to come loose. And you'll feel it once it's loose, it'll start moving all over the place. Okay, so now my water slide's loose. I am going to wet down my cup here. Okay. I'm trying to work around the camera, guys, so I can show you exactly how I do this. So I'm bringing it up, paper and all. So I have the whole paper here. And I'm going to use I might need to turn it, make it turn towards me. There we go. Sorry. I'm looking at the pink right now, just getting that pink lined up. I gotta get that fixed. Okay, so it's on here and I want to keep it wet while we're working with it. So I'm just going to start kind of smoothing it out. Keeping an eye on that pink at the top. So I've got an overlap here where my water slide is kind of flipped upwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that back a little bit, make sure where the first side went down, it's completely flat, and it's not. I can feel a little ridge where it's sticking on itself. The trick is just to make sure you're keeping your hands wet and the water slide wet as you're, trying to manipulate it. Turn this just a little bit. There you go. Now you can see a little bit better what I'm doing here. So see how I can see this is darker here? Well, it's darker because part of this water slide has flipped on itself. So I'm just taking my wet fingers and trying to unroll it. That's what I'm doing here. And I'm keeping it wet the entire time while I'm working with it. You don't want dry hands with your water slide. And then smoothing it down. I might even take can't seem to get this little guy unrolled here. I'm just going to gently take my edge of my knife and try to get him. Okay, pretty good there. I'm going to turn my spin back on. Oh, come this way. And I'm just smoothing it down as it spins around. And now we'll put this piece back where it belongs. And always keep an eye, like up here, keep an eye on your top, making sure it's not moving down as you're getting these graphics in place. Stop there where you can see the edge. Then I gotta go back and kind of unroll this piece too. And I want to make sure the gray line lines up with the other side. this is hard working around the camera here. There we go. I want to unroll that edge. That's what I'm trying to do. Couldn't get my good grip on it. There we go. You see, as I started to move that down there, then the top slid. So just gotta watch the top, and you just want to get all these wrinkles out. Sometimes it lays on perfectly smooth. Other times I gotta play with it a little bit. I'm just pushing that water out from underneath the water slide. Okay. So now as I've worked those wrinkles out, they're kind of all meeting in the, meeting in this middle here where I've got my seam, which is what I want. I want to smooth out this seam. So I'm going to peel this back a little bit, just so I can smooth out the wrinkles that I brought around from the front. Smooth those out. And then I'm going to take these wrinkles that I've brought around from the front and smooth out. And then lay that all back down. Okay, so you just want to keep playing and messing with it here until you get it all smooth. And I'm pretty much there. until we have this. Okay. So down here you can see where my overlap is, where my little chevron pattern is. So when I slice this to make my smooth seam, I'm going to aim to be cutting kind of right where this point comes, is what I'm going to do. And this is the tricky part. If you don't have a steady hand, it can be kind of difficult. I do. Now, like I mentioned before, I use a brand new blade. This blade is super sharp. Your water slide is going to want to slide still because it's still wet. It's not dry, but you need to do this part while it is wet. Okay, so I'm just going to start up here, and you want to make sure you can see where it's darker here. That's where your water slide's overlapping. You want to stay in between. You want to be in that dark area when you're cutting. So I'm just going to start up here, and I'm cutting through both pieces right now. And I'm just going to make my way down to that point there and bring it all the way around the end. Okay, so the first step is to take off the piece that was on top. And if I didn't cut all the way through, I'll have to come over here and like get that little guy. Okay, then the second step, I want to give it a little water here, is to pull that back till you can grab a hold of the under piece. Okay, now that's the under piece. All right, now we're gonna put some friendly water here. Of course. There we go. Now we're gonna put everything back the way it was. Smooth out that seam. And all I'm doing is just smoothing out, making sure that they meet perfectly. And they do. Awesome. I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to take a baby wipe, which I use these a lot when I'm working with water slides. I'm just going to kind of dampen it a bit. And then I'm just going to make sure that I've got all the wrinkles out. Sometimes your fingers stick, but the baby wipes does a good job. And it comes back around the stop on the seam, which you can kind of see a little bit because as I've been playing with it, it's kind of like slid a little bit. So I'm going to do is just go back in here and just kind of pinch just a teeny tiny bit and bring my seam back together again. And just wipe this way, get any water that's sitting under there out. And there you go. You can't even see it. So down here where this black doesn't line up, I'm not real concerned about that because I'm going to go around with our alcohol ink and I'm going to adjust this to be a perfect black line around here, fill in the bottom with black. That's how we're going to get the tip of our pencil, is to go around the bottom with the black alcohol ink. I can only get Waterslide in A4 size, and so it's just not quite wide enough to get a little bit extra on the print. So I wish I could find it bigger because I can print up to 13 by 19, but I can't seem to find Waterslide any bigger than A4. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I figure the bottom I can just manually do. So I will let this dry before I add that alcohol ink, and then I'll finish off the bottom, and then we will epoxy it, put on our decal, and be ready to go. So I'll be back once this is dry and we'll do the bottom together. Okay, so while that one is drying, I thought I could just show you another angle here to see me do another one. So I'm at a different workstation here. Same thing, I got my Waterslide going. I thought this one might lay better since I won't be working around the camera. I figured out a way to get it above me. So I'm just kind of wiggling my fingers here pretty gently. Just loosening it off your paper. Remember, your clear coat is the most important. Because if it's not thick enough, your Waterslide would be falling apart right now. Come on, still stuck in somewhere here. What's going on here? This guy won't come off. And I don't want to rip him, so I'm being gentle. For whatever reason, there must be a little. There we go. All right, so got my little fella off here. Gonna wet down my cup. Hope you guys can see okay. I know it's kind of upside down for you. Alright. I'm leaving him on the sheet. I want him to turn the other way. Away from me. I'm just going to slide it up off that paper just a little bit so I can get access to the edge. I'm just using the edge of the cup and the line on the pink to align my Waterslide. I'm not even looking at the bottom. That'll all come in. We'll get that lined up. It's part of the process here. There we go. Back down there. Can just chill there. And now I'm going to just start smoothing him out. And then back in here, I want to keep an eye on where the two gray lines meet. I want to make sure that they're good. Oop. And I'm just smoothing it towards the seams. That's what I want to do, smooth it towards the seams. Make sure we get a nice fit around the middle. And then we'll smooth out our seams. Just stop it here. Turn it, there we go. This might give you guys a better view of that top seam and how I manipulate it. Alright, so like we did before, I'm going to wet this down. I'm going to peel back the top piece, keeping it wet, just so I can smooth this out. And bring all that water and wrinkles up from the front and squeeze it out there. Okay. Then lay my little friend back down. And then smooth this direction. There we go. And before I cut it, I just want to make sure I'm not seeing any white at the top. Everybody's in place. Looking good, looking good. All right, stop it there. Grab the knife. All right, and just like before, I'm kind of aiming for the tip of that chevron there. There we go. Top one's off. Peel this back. Slide out the bottom one. Put that on top. Can you see the seam? Yeah, me neither. Okay. And that's it. Okay, so different view, different angle, same process. Looks pretty good. I will let this dry. Just make sure I'm pinch it together. I mean, you really, honestly, you cannot see. You can't see the seam. I mean, you have to look close, and I know where it is. But once this thing gets epoxy on it, you can barely ever find. You can even. It's hard to find them. But it's super fast. It's still glittery. We'll add our black once it's dry and be ready to go. Okay, guys. So my water slide is dry. And what I'm going to do now, though, before I put on the alcohol ink, I forgot I'm going to add a decal to this. So I want the decal to be on the front, not where the seam is. I want the seam to be in the back. So I am just going to rotate this around till it's facing away from me. I'll just put my finger there so I know. Okay. I'm going to add my decal right there. Got a little water slide cup over here. I use this little tub for small decals. So that big old one I use for the other ones. I don't epoxy in between. When I do these, they lay on just fine without a layer of that clear epoxy on there. Come on, buddy. Get that. Same process as the bigger ones. You just gotta wait till it gets. It doesn't take real long. It just feels like a long time when you're being impatient. And I hate when these videos drag on. I know you guys have lots to do. Okay, so I got it nice and see that sliding on my paper. I'm just gonna put a little water here in the center. I'm going to slide this bad boy on. I'm going to take my wet baby wipe. Smooth it out. Perfect. Okay. So make sure I didn't get any water down here on where we're about to put some alcohol ink. Alcohol ink dries super, super fast. So let me see, maybe I can move you to face you to the bottom of the cup because that's where we're kind of going to work here. All right, this is Ranger Black alcohol ink, pitch black actually. So I'm going to take my little cosmetic sponge, which I love. I use these all the time. I'm just going to put some alcohol ink on the bottom of it. And I'm going to start sponging in here to make this black. And you might need to do 2 coats. If it doesn't coat real well in the first one, let it dry a few minutes. Do another one. What I like about these is we do have a straight edge to kind of work with, like, which will, when I come in here and start going around this edge, turn on a little turner here. Still got some water from my other water slide. There we go. When you first put this on, so it looks kind of blue on your cup, which is why I said you might need to do 2 layers. And I'm just using the edge of the sponge to make a straight line. And you can make this bottom band as thick or thin as you want it, honestly. You want to be careful though, because once it's on there, it's not coming off, so. And remember, our water slide wasn't exactly perfect lined up at the bottom, but I didn't care because we were going to cover it up. That's what we're doing now. If you're better with a brush, feel free, take a brush, paint it on. Do whatever. You could cut a little stripe of vinyl, honestly, if you wanted a perfectly straight edge line. You could cut a little stripe of vinyl and then just fill in the bottom with the black. I like the alcohol ink. It dries pretty quickly. You could take a freaking Sharpie if you wanted, to be honest. I honestly have some calligraphy markers with like a paintbrush tips that probably would work well. To just come in and paint your bottom edge. And there we go. I'll just check, make sure I didn't miss any spots. There's a little light spot right there. Get that. And away we go. So now all I have left to do, I'm going to let this dry since I added that other water slide. There's a little bit of, moisture still on here. So I'm going to let it dry a little bit. Then I will epoxy it and we should be back with a finished cup. I'm not going to record the epoxy part trying to hurry, get a bunch of cups done. If you have not epoxied a cup, I have a slew of videos where I go step by step with the epoxy. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a coat of epoxy on this, and then we'll be back with a wrap up in our finished tumbler. So see you guys in a bit. Okay, so how easy was that? Print your water slide, get it nice and coated, wrap that bad boy around there, touch up with some alcohol ink, let it dry, you know, drop on your decal, and you are off to the races. I mean, I could do these so quickly and so much more, get so many more done in such a little bit of time. So there's been tons of interest on this file. So here's the deal. I'm totally open to put this on my website for you guys to get. However, you need to keep in mind that my decal is sized for this brand, this 20-ounce skinny glittered. I've measured it. It's the full wraparound, the full height of this particular cup. So this will work on, you can use this same file on a 20-ounce fatty, on another brand skinny. However, you are going to need to take it upon yourself to glitter your tumbler, epoxy your tumbler, and you need to measure your tumbler. So I use a fabric ruler to, after it's all dry, I measure around so I get the width. You'll want to take the image that I'm going to provide on the website, and you'll want to size that accordingly, giving yourself an overlap on the print. So you want to be able to wrap your tumbler in your water slide and have at least a 1/2 inch overlapping. You want to be able to take that X-Acto down, trim it down. The file that you'll get on the website, it doesn't have a huge amount of black at the bottom because it's an A4 print. So an A4 print is only so wide. So when I print that horizontally on the piece of paper, there is only so much room. So I have a guideline for the black. It's not going to be a big wide strip of black. You're going to need to use the alcohol ink to do the bottom. So the file is going to be available. The link is below. It's going to be on the website. The white glitter we use, that's available on the website. Probably even put a kit together for you guys so you guys can get a water slide and the glitter if you want to try both. But just keep in mind, if you're not using this exact brand, which is a Hog 20-ounce skinny, that will not fit exactly. So I'll provide in the files, I'll file for the Hog 20-ounce skinny pencil and the Hog 20-ounce fatty tumbler. They are different. The layouts are going to be different. So you'll have 2 files to work with, but you're just going to need to do your due diligence. If you guys put really, really thick layers of glitter and epoxy on your white cup, your cup might be thicker than mine. So it's going to change. So there is room to make that, you want to be able to just measure and make sure your file is right when you use it. So check out those links below. If you have any questions, you want to jump over and join our Facebook group, that link's below too. So jump over, join us there. I answer any questions about any of the files and the stuff that I provide. And other than that, I think that just about covers it for this tumbler. I'm not sure what's up for next week, but be sure to tune in on Monday and we will have something new going on. So I will see you guys next Monday.